different. I wanted to be standing for this video. I didn't want to just sit around. Half the time I'm just sitting in a video and that's no fun. So I figured to do a little bit of a standing video and just kind of talk with you guys and make some point of views and reference. So today we got a tier list we're going to talk about. So first off, let's get into this tier list, shall we? First off, we have Jessamon. So as you know, we start with every color denomination, so definitely think it's a tier 2 deck. The new support definitely speeds the deck up. Is it going to be crazy strong? I think it's low tier 1, close to tier 2. This time I did remove tier 1.5 because we're getting to a point where the tier 2 and 1.5 category is just the same at this point. There's no difference in that category. That one is kind of better than the other. The tier 2s and the tier 1.5s kind of just even themselves out at this rate because the support is so good. So it's definitely worth taking into account when it comes down to this. So we're going to definitely take this worth as its face value and, you know, want to keep that going. So let's keep it going. We have Phoenixmon. Definitely got a little bit of support in Bt-13, but it just needs better support. Deck can do a little bit more, but it's not doing meta-defining things. As you could see with any of the ranking systems that I do, it just doesn't hold up all the time. And that's just kind of like the big turnoff here. Is when it doesn't do that. Then we do have Marsmon. Marsmon definitely just give it better support at this point. Tier 4 is definitely where it sits at. It does have raid and everything like that, but it definitely needs some more TLC, as they say. So definitely keep that in mind. Emperor Greymon, definitely a tier 2 deck for sure. Definitely holds up with the meta. There's nothing wrong with that, and I kind of respect it. Then we have Gallantmon. Definitely would say it's good, but needs a bit more. The new card is really solid. The new secret, it does help the deck out. But I feel like the deck can still hold up with the tier 2s, but the tier 1s is where it's going to struggle the most at. And that's going to be a big breaking point. Then, let's see, we got Shine Greymon. So this is where majority of this is going to coming down to, but we know that Shine's going to be tier 1. And that's going to be huge. So, keeping that in mind with how Shine Greymon's going to be tier 1, we're going to just keep an eye out on it. The things that can happen is if one of the Marcuses gets hit, this will definitely bump it down to tier 2, and then another deck will take its slot. But definitely keeping that in mind going forwards. We definitely have the Agumons. I think for right now, it just needs better support. But it's going to get some support in Bt-14, which will definitely give the deck some oomph back into it that it wants. Then we do have Ancient Greymon OTK. Deck's still good, but needs a bit more now to kind of just do its own thing. It's just that kind of situation. Then we do have War Greymon. Definitely think it did lose a little bit of its circumstances with you-know-what. The restrictions, that kind of did slow it down a little bit, but once we get to Bt-14, with the trainers coming in, deck definitely comes back in with full swinging power, and it's worth just keeping an eye out on it then. Then we do have, where's Black War Greymon? Black War Greymon. Definitely feel like Black War Greymon's just a little bit better this format, just because of the ability to pop something at the start of your opponent's turn, trashing security. Security's a little bit more scarier, and being able to play around and manipulate around the Marcuses with Shine Greymon, and the access to a little bit better into, I think, wanting to play Kongu can play it a little bit better, and stuff like that does matter in certain circumstances, but I feel like Black War Greymon X definitely shined a little bit better in the JP format, and I feel like Black War Greymon X will shine a little bit better for us. Then we do have, let me find it, we do have Gaiomon. So Gaiomon, definitely a gatekeeper. Kind of just fits with this trifecta here. They're kind of just a decent trifecta. They have the same engine, but the top ends just do something a little bit different. I mean, Gaiomon definitely can handle the Royal Knight matchup, which is good if you're heavy in the Royal Knights. Gaiomon definitely handles that a little bit better. So does Black War Greymon X paired to Raid War Greymon. The fact of the matter is, though, Shine, Burst Mode, definitely Gaio and Black War Greymon definitely have a little bit better in that matchup, but it is a struggle uphill battle. And that's just what it's going to be. But with the information that we do have, we do know that the ace is coming in. So having the access to War Greymon Ace might really put in some surprise factors in a lot of decks, which definitely why these decks are still holding strong is because of the fact that it does have the access to the Ace mechanic. Same thing will happen with Garurumon Ace, but I feel like Garurumon Ace's theme decks are a little bit weaker than paired to their counterparts. So that's something to think about there. And let's see. We have Dora Brickmon. Definitely still Dora Bricky things. The deck can still do a lot of crazy shenanigans. The problem comes down to it does well against the other decks because they don't hit high ceilings. But because Royal Knights is a deck in the format, it matches its attack power very easily. So security is a little more scarier for it. So it's definitely keeping that on your radar to understand that Dora Brickmon is definitely probably bottom tier 2, if anything. And then, let's see, anything else ready? No, nothing looking red at this point. That's a duel. Black, 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 white, yellow, white. Nope, 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 nope. So, we're going to go on to blue. Mirage Galga. Burst mode definitely came in strong for this deck, and I definitely think it's one of the top contenders. If the burst mode for Shine Greymon goes, bringing it down, then this will happen. This will be what I think will happen. Shine Greymon just gets knocked down a peg, down to tier 2. Mirage Galga just OTKs the format. So, definitely, both decks are just OTK strong decks, and that's kind of like the big scary two right here are these two. And they're kind of just like, you have to be able to beat them to be able to be competitively viable. So, it's just worth keeping that in mind, and playing around them is going to be very much important to understand. Let's take a look here. We do have All Force. All Force is definitely a tier 2 deck. It still can do what it wants to do, but because the format is going into a higher centric DP threshold, All Force does struggle a little bit because if it's faced against Royal Knights, All Force can't really do enough damage to their overly powerful security, and that's going to really hurt it. You can rely on the ties, Kamiya V-Tamers, to be able to boost your speed, but now you're losing out on the draws to compensate for that DP boost. So that's just really important here. Imperial Dramon, good, but definitely needs some TLC just because of how the deck is right now. And it's just keeping that on the radar there. So definitely thinking about that. Then we do have Gabumons. Definitely needs some better support now. It's just getting to the point where the deck just needs some TLC. And that's about it. Let's see. Blue Hybrid definitely needs another wave of support. I mean, it can do some crazy shenanigans, especially if you guys plan on facing against Royal Knights. It could have a better momentum because you can lock things down a little bit. Soul Ride can really slow this deck down. And, you have Hexablow, stuff like that could just stop and topple the game. So just keep that in mind. Examon definitely got one new card, but it definitely is good, but needs some bit more at this point. Just keep that in mind. Then we do have Leomon. Just give it better support at this point. Falling behind. There's just nothing too crazy for the deck to do. And again, it's falling behind because there's just so many more powerful decks. Being able to bounce things isn't as consistent because you can only bounce level 5s, and most people aren't playing the level 5 variants very often. Might see some reinsurgence if the ace cards gets out of hand, in my opinion. That is going to be what happens. If the Black War Greymon Ace and Garurumon Ace get out of hand for Bt-13, can definitely see the effects of maybe Gabumon coming up because it can bounce the 5 up in the air before and get it off the board before your opponent actually has a chance to actually go into their ace. And that can set somebody back. So just keep that in mind. The Aigishamon support, definitely good, but needs more at this point. It got another wave with all the new turtle stuff that came in the set, but it's just not enough to really signify it into the meta. Garurumon, definitely tier 3. Even though the ace comes in, there's not enough ways of making this deck actually survive the swings, even though they have their X antibody line. It's scary to see what this deck is going to be facing. A lot of the decks are a little more stronger now. They don't easily come off the board as often, so just keep that in mind. Then we do have Blue Flare. Definitely think Blue Flare is one of the strong decks of the format. It's just a defining deck. It can do a lot for little investment, and being able to, if you're facing against whatchamacallit, the Royal Knights deck, you can basically get free jamming on the board and just keep swinging in. Free memory, free value. It just gets out of hand pretty quickly. The deck is just pretty good. The only decks it's kind of going to be losing to is Shine and Mirage. And that's just kind of what I've seen through the data. And that's just worth keeping in mind when we're going for data-based information. Then we do have Gray's Nightmon. Mixture deck, I'm just going to say good, but definitely needs more. The deck just doesn't know what it wants to do. It kind of wants to do something, but then it just falls behind on it. Then we have Armor Rush. Definitely good, but needs some more. Definitely can have a lot of presence. And then we have Armor Rush Control. Definitely falls in the same thing with Armor Rush. Yes, Armor Rush can definitely take in the bigger stacks, but just because the minusing DP of Shine Greymon exists, Mirage can bounce most of the armor stuff off, and then everybody else is just kind of just hammering it home. Even Shadow Seraphe doesn't have a option in this fight, just because even the armor control just struggles a little bit behind on it. And then I think that's all for blue. That is definitely all for blue. Then let's get into yellow. Let's see, Sukaimon or Sukamon. So definitely got some more TLC, but just needs some better support. I think the next wave is definitely going to do something for the deck, but just not right now. Then yellow, definitely got some decent support with the Legends of the Four Greats, but needs some better support at this point. Then we have none other than the Angemon deck, or better known as, guess who? Ophanimon Fall Down Mode deck. So it's a yellow-based deck in hindsight, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Good, but definitely needs some more love and support. Then we do have the chess deck. Needs some better support at this point. It can do some crazy shenanigans, but not too much. Then we have the Edamon, King Edamon deck, which is own separate thing than the King Sukamon deck. So both are kind of meme decks. They kind of just do little funny shenanigans, but that's about it. Then we have none other than Kazumon Control. I think it's definitely tier 2-ish. Nah, not really. Let's be honest. It's definitely tier 3. It's good, but needs a bit more at this point. I think that's going to be a big maker. Leomon, the yellow Leomon burst deck kind of that they were trying to do with this set, not seeming like it's panning out to be right. So that's just going to be scary there. It needs better support at this point, to be honest with you. It's just nothing too crazy. And then let's see. I think that's all for yellow. Yellow, that's all. Let's get into green. Bloom Lord definitely got some more support, and I definitely think it's definitely scary. So keeping that in mind, that the new Sunflowmon, the new burst mode related, Lalamon, and all that can be played in Bloom Lord, so it definitely keeps up the deck. So I definitely think it's tier 2. Rosemon, same thing. Just got some decent support here. I think once we get into Bt-14, this is where green will probably move up to tier 1 again and stay there for a while. With the abilities of the trainings and all their reducing and gaining memory effects, there's too much to kind of mitigate all that to be able to stop what it's trying to do. Then we do have good old Leopardmon. Leopardmon, definitely low end of tier 2. I think the deck can do some crazy shenanigans. Struggles a bit against the tier 1s, but kind of just holds its own against the tier 2 decks. Oh, I forgot Kentorismon. Oh, wow. Kentoris actually being able to play around the total of 6 security is really scary. The deck can do a lot with it, and I think it's a solid tier 2 deck with that ability to do so. Do I think it's going to do a lot? Maybe not, but we're going to see. People are going to play it, and I think it has a lot of potential. Then we do have Grandis. Grandis is good, but definitely needs some more. With the everything kind of just going up, and there's no consistency with the deck anymore. It'll get its consistency back once it gets the trainings, just because that check 2, reduce 1 kind of shenanigans is really strong. So definitely the trainings will definitely bring the deck back up. Digimon, tier 3 at best. Rusty Boy, tier 4, definitely needs some more support before this thing can go off again. And I think even when the ace comes up, it'll definitely bring it up, probably possibly to tier 3, but that's about it. Then let's see. Black Mecha Gargo, which is just Gargomon. Just give it better support. It kind of just clashed with itself, and the way the deck wants to play now just has some trouble leading up to that. Then we do have the Alliance deck. I think it's good, but definitely needs some more. It can definitely swing into stuff. I think once it's in the monocolor restrictions, this deck does a lot better, but there's just so much powerhouse in the other multicolor stuff that basically centralizes on different play styles and everything like that. It just struggles a little bit. And then let's see, is that all for green? I think so. That's all green. So next we'll go into black. Black. Definitely saying the Justimon deck, just give it some better support now. I think it's pretty solid. It can do what it wants to, but it's just a inconsistent mess right now. Just keep that in mind. Galacticmon, definitely saw it top quite a bit. I think it's definitely in a tier 3 category. Even with the promo and stuff like that, it does get a lot of support. And with the new promo that is going to be in the set, that new promo is going to help the deck out a lot, in my opinion. One thing about Bt-13, we do not have the reprint booster in this, Rising Wind. So this is where data gets a little bit skewed, because decks like Gamamon, Jellymon, and Angoramon are not on the list. Mugen didn't get its basically next wave of support yet. So stuff like that does take into consideration. Mugen, definitely a tier 2 deck. Definitely falls behind against the tier 1s just a little bit. Analog Man's strong, but it can't stop all what this is trying to do against it. And the deck can keep up at times, but then it just can lose out to itself a little bit too much. Let's see. Then we do have Alphamon. Definitely think Alphamon comes back into tier 2 category very easily, top of it at least, just because Alphamon can do Alphamon things, and being able to prevent attacks and slow down playstyles, a Kongu, and this basically means that they only get to swing with one level, and that's very tough to just get to that, keep a consistent level like that. Just keep that in mind. D-Brigade, good, but definitely needs a bit more. Once it gets that bit more, I'm going to tell you this right now, it goes right there. Once Bt-14 drops, it's going right to tier 1. Outside of that, let's see, anything more? Dragon Links definitely needs some more TLC. Ultra-S, definitely good, but needs some more. It's a Jagras deck. Same thing with Imperial Dramon, Dragon Mode. Jagras, the red-purple deck, it struggles. It needs some love. Raybon Burst Mode, definitely think it got the support it needed, but it's definitely tier 3-ish. I think that's going to be really where it struggles at that point. Then Dark Knightmon. With Dark Knightmon, I would have put it into tier 3 if the ace wasn't there. I think with War Greymon Ace, it definitely helps the deck out in a way that most people aren't ready for. And I think that's just something to keep in mind. I think it's definitely a tier 2 deck, this format. And it's definitely a rogue pick. So you'll be surprised if people are teching in the ace with Dark Knightmon for sure. And that's all for black. Bet on black, all right? Yep. So let's get into the purples. So we have, you know the drill here. This is Merva, Purple Mervamon. Definitely good deck. It's still going to do what it wants. I think there's no issues there. Hunters, definitely tier 2 category. Just being able to move a threat, move it off the board, and just switch positions. Really solid. The craziness of getting Quartzmon down for the enemy hunters, not really good. I think there's an issue with that. It just needs some love here. I think there's just some issues that it just can't get around. Then we have none other than Bagra. Bagra, just give it better support at this point. It just needs some way of being cohesive. Definitely Beelzemon, crazy strong. Still deck does what it wants to do. It just slowed down the kill turn by 1 turn, so that's not terrible. Balfamont, with all the new stuff, it definitely... Purple eating good this set, definitely saying that right now. Purple ate good here. Chaosdramon, well, Chaos Gallantmon, tier 3, which is basically either the mill version or anything like that. Just keep that in mind. I think it's tier 3. It's not tier 2. We're going into Imperial Dramon, same repercussion, tier 3, just needs some better support. Promo could help, but I don't think it's going to do much. Mastamon definitely fell down from its graces, definitely tier 3. Good, but a bit more is kind of just what it's singing the songs to. Beelzestar, definitely tier 2. I think the options it presents, it's still a good control deck. It can do a lot of shenanigans, and probably with the Ace option, you can see some crazy shenanigans. So now let's get into whites and then multicolors. So Diaboromon is black, white. I could just easily have just done this. Diaboromon definitely got some, is good, but it definitely needs some more. Ace is going to help it out a lot, and the in-trainings are going to help it a lot as well. Finally getting it off that restricted white colors is really where it needs to be. Oh yeah, Mirage, Metal Garurumon. Metal Garurumon purple is going to be definitely a surprise factor. I don't know where it's going to land. Whatever they do with that deck is going to be a surprise factor. It can definitely go either way. It can go probably tier 3 to tier 4, but I don't know what the deck's going to look like yet. And that's going to be a big question on it. D-Reaper definitely needs better support at this point. Just needs another wave to do stuff. Setcon, tier 2 at least. Tier 2, definitely Crossheart. Any of the versions are pretty solid. And then Royal Knights, this is going to come down to what you draw, but Royal Knights is definitely crazy strong. I think it's pretty strong. It is showing representation and everything like that, but I don't know how long this is going to last on ours. Best of 1 to best of 3 are completely different entities, and that's going to make or break some situations. But guys, what do you think of this tier list? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay safe, stay healthy. And did I place anything wrong? And peace!